It's said that any seed that's dropped in Guyana grows into a plant and fruits result. And it's so true. Demerara is very central to the molasses. It starts with the quality of the soil. Being so close to the Atlantic Ocean, and in fact, the land itself once being covered by the Atlantic Ocean and being recovered by the Dutch in the 1600s, and their genius ways of land reclamation, results in that soil being high in minerality and high in nutrients that allow for very high yielding crops, some of which find their way into the sugarcane and eventually the molasses that is fermented to produce rum. Do remember that rum is only a few decades younger than sugar itself in Guyana, so the two are inextricably linked. Control of Demerara was later ceded to the British in the 1650s, and with that, sugarcane cultivation along the coast of Guyana really took off. But it wasn't until 1670 that distilling was introduced to the Demerara County and later the other counties of Guyana. By 1780, there were over 300 distilleries. Quite soon after that, the price of sugar began to fall, customs taxes began to be applied to sugar, and therefore it was not very economical for all of these estates to remain in operation. There was a severe consolidation of the industry. So by 1940, there were just 9 remaining distilleries. Every estate had its identity retained either by the transfer of the still that produced it to another plantation or by the transfer of the production of that product on equipment on another plantation that was still existing. And because many of those estates dated back to as early as 1732 in the case of the Port Moran pot still and 1880 in the case of the wooden coffee still, then we were able to retain not only the 9 distilleries of the day, but really all of the history that they carried, and they're still in operation.
These stills are very unique. The characteristic that comes through in the rum is because of these stills. If you try to modernize or to change, you will not get the same quality. And everything that we do at the highest level in the company is designed to protect that history, that heritage, that traditional method of production way into the future.
Essentially what we do, we work in small batches on craft stills, and those stills are operated in a manner to produce qualities directly off of the still. That's the distiller's craft. That's the distiller's knowledge, knowing what particular qualities influence certain flavors in the rum, and manipulating the still, adjusting the still, operating the still, coaxing out those qualities to give it that essential soul.
That book there, and we check it through to ascertain the strength. When I was satisfied that the strength was okay, the strength that was required for our production.
It's not a mechanical process, it's very much organic. It means that the blender must always be mindful of what the final product therefore has to achieve, and making those fine adjustments so that at the end of the day, while we start with a consistent core, it's the tinkering on the edges where the blender truly brings the rum alive.
Well, here you will find a sweet odor. It's vanilla, you have a creamy note to it, a chocolatey note. It's distinctly Demerara, basically, because we have a characteristic cane sugar type of note that comes up. The richness, as I said, in the flavor that comes up in the rum. I believe it's a mixture of science and art. Each rum has its unique flavor. It has its own nuances, basically, because they're made up of different rums or different marks from the different stills. Because of our complex distillation style, we can do over 24 different types of rums. Over time, it develops, it oxidizes, it interacts with the barrel, and it becomes a unique product itself. Our rums range from light body rums to medium body rums to heavy body rums. For example, our 15-year-old rum, it's a robust rum. It's basically a mixture of column still rums and our pot still rums.
The 15-year-old really led the birth of El Dorado onto the world marketplace. It was winning awards at the International Wine and Spirits competition. It won the first of its gold medal and rum trophy as world's best rum. and that tradition continued until 2001 consecutively. To this day, it has won the award 7 times. No other rum, brand or single rum, has won it more than twice. But there's a reason why it maintains that recognition. It truly is a blend of all of our heritage stills. The double wooden pot stills, the single wooden pot still, the wooden coffee still, the metal coffee still. It's all woven into there, truly a blender's art. We very much treasure that connection with supplying the British Royal Navy. As much as 85% of the British stott sourced from the various plantations up until the cessation of that tradition in 1970. That led naturally into certain brands being developed around those supplies. So sort of 2 iconic brands of the day, Lamb's Navy as well as Lemon Heart, were both rums that were substantially built around Demerara rums. We've been very fortunate to be seen as the premier institution in Guyana, not only for rums, but of any industry. And so many of our employees stay with us for decades. 30, 40 years is not unusual. And because of that, there's that ability to plan succession, to pass down knowledge from generation to generation, and to ensure the continuity in what we do.
We're just not here to do a job for today and tomorrow, but this is part of your life. So it comes right through in the spirit that we make.
I joined the company at a time when George Robinson, the late great master distiller, was very much in charge. And I got to study with him. That really empowered me to understand not just rums and what we do here, but how our stills are so magical and result in the product that the world has come to really admire and respect.
23 years now.
23.
3 years, yeah. Only.
For me, working at DDL for over the past 14 years.
I've been in this organization with El Dorado for 21 years. So I'm as old as the rum in the
I think every Guyanese owes his or her heritage to the sugar industry, and with that rum.
Rum for us is basically in our blood, as we want to say. It ties back all our history as a country.
It's been produced for centuries and it is part of the DNA of the nation. And so it is very critical that we protect that as truly Guyanese.